Hey guys, so this is the Honda City RS. So Honda is now on the RS bandwagon. So, like Renault Sport, Rally Sport, Porsche, Audi. So now we have a Honda RS. Of course, there's not any meaning to it. I don't even Honda knows what RS means in this context. In this case, it's a cosmetic package. But in the case of the City RS in Malaysia, you get a hybrid. This is called the i-MMD hybrid, intelligent multi-mode drive, and it has the audacity, it dares, to do something that no other B7 hatch or sedan has ever done. Cost above 100k. This is 106,000 ringgit. So is it worth it? Let's find out. So it is a good looking car, right? You got the full carbon fiber, this black effect, whatever. And it does contrast nicely with the white of this car. I think this is called like white pearlescent white, whatever. Why do I always get white cars? I'm wearing a white shirt because of this car today, but before this, I reviewed the Peugeot 2008, that was white. When we did our B7 shootout, where we had the City as well, which I drove, it was white. Ativa is white. Why is it boring color? Like, why do you buy white for what? So unrewarding, then dirty. Rainy season, dirty. Ish. All right, so rant over. 16-inch wheels, dual tone. You don't get that with the normal Cities. You get like a just one-tone silver. Black accent over here. This part is just a City. You can't really tell anything different. Well, of course, the wheels. At the back, little spoiler element over here to match the flying wing. Grille, also kind of like piano black effect. This is plastic, of course. You get a more smoked effect on the headlights. And to tell you and remind you it's a hybrid, blue surround here. EHEV, which is E-Hybrid Electric Vehicle, i-MMD. A lot of acronyms going on this car. RS, which stands for nothing in Honda's context. So yeah, not a Type R, an RS, which is not as good. You do get a small-ish lithium-ion battery, right? So that 410 liters of space, usually in the City you get like 520, so less boot space. But remember, even with 410 liters, that's still a lot more than you would get in, say, a Proton X50, which is like 330 liters, pathetic. So because it has that lithium-ion battery, it can start up without actually invoking the engine. It just comes on, and you can pull away on the e-motor, but it's still a combustion engine powered car, kind of, has an exhaust. So we're inside the City RS, and immediately things do look familiar, and yet not familiar. If you are familiar like I am with the previous gen City, like I said, this is all new, is what Honda said. But I don't really believe it's all new because, okay, so my mom, full disclosure, has a Honda City because it's one of the best, like no fuss cars to buy for your parents, right? And so she has this Honda City. I drive it around, and I know I know that car very well. And so I'm noticing things like the door panel is pretty much the same. Yes, the dashboard is very different. You have this huge 8-inch screen over here with CarPlay and Android Auto. The instrument cluster is now fully digital, and the steering wheel is different, and there's red stitching over here, and all these RS touches and whatever. But like I said, you can see the 6th gen City DNA come through. It's just unavoidable. The gear shifter is exactly where it's supposed to be. The Econ mode is just the same button. It's got the same kind of shallow, middle glove box thingy. That being said, it is a good interior because it is really expansive. There's a lot of space over here. Like, look how much space there is between the aircon vents over here and how far the dashboard actually stretches to the screen. It just feels big and expansive. Material-wise, also pretty good. You've got leather, well, not real leather, but you know what I mean. Leatherish leather, with the red stitching to match the RS theme. Over here as well. Other than that, piano black. I like the way this, air conditioning, HVAC system control knob is laid out. It's elegant, it's minimal. Although you do get only one single zone climate control, which, for 106K you can complain, oh, I only get one zone air conditioning. Oh, wow. Bet. But who cares? I don't really care. It doesn't have leather seats. Do you care? I don't, because I think these are better than leather seats. Because leather, unless you're buying a car that has like Napa leather, very high quality leather, and a premium car, that feels good. But if you buy like a Myvi or whatever, you don't get real leather, and that doesn't really feel good. This is like a blend of micro suede, fabric, and sort of leatherette. I think, on the whole, it's a better interior than you would have if you had a leather Honda City. Yeah, the back seats of any Honda that's front-wheel drive, it's just big. In this, you get C segment. I'm willing to say even more than. All right, so full disclosure, we have a BMW 530i, here as well, because Adam's doing a review on that, and you definitely don't get as much legroom as that. So you get more legroom than a BMW, which costs well over 106K. Same materials, seats-wise, with the fronts. So you have fabric, this textured. You have this sort of like not quite Alcantara micro suede, and a little bit of leather and red stitching along here. So, nice place to be. This is the same molding as a 6th gen Honda City. Come on, this is not an all-new car. This is a heavily revised, heavily improved version of the previous gen City. So, the i-MMD system. It's a hybrid. Before this, you had the City hybrid with the IDCD. I think that stands for dual clutch drive, intelligent dual clutch drive. Now it stands for intelligent multi-mode drive, okay? So this has 3 modes. I'll get into that a little bit later. What you need to know about the City RS i-MMD. Is it a performance hybrid? No. Is it an easy car to drive? Yes. No matter what Honda told you before about the marketing before they launched the car, they teased it, saying that it has the best torque in its class, 253 Newton meters. Yes, it's a lot for this class, but in practice, it doesn't feel fast. It's about as fast or slow, depending how you want to look at it, as a normal City. So, okay. Now let's get into the geeky part. And for this, I'm going to explain how the i-MMD works. So you might want to skip if you don't want to care about that. So, intelligent multi-mode drive. So there's 3 components to this, okay? You have a 1.5 liter engine up front, like a normal City, right? But this is running the more efficient Atkinson combustion cycle. So that acts as a generator for 2 motors, electric motors, okay? You have the generator motor and you have the traction motor, and that is what powers the wheels, that gives it its big torque number, okay? And that officially is, that traction motor, that is officially the power and torque figure that Honda advertises for this car. That goes to generate power to store in a small lithium-ion battery at the back. The engine powers the battery, generates power for the battery. That power goes to the front wheels through the traction motor. And that is the most efficient way, because combustion engines are at their least efficient when trying to move off slow to medium speeds, okay? And it is at its most efficient when it's trying to maintain momentum at highway speeds, or like, higher speeds, let's just say. And that is where the i-MMD system, this hybrid system, is so clever, because it only uses the engine to generate power for the motor, the traction motor, or at high speeds in hybrid mode, where it assists via clutch to power the front wheels. But at higher speeds, let's say above 110, highway speeds around there, to maintain that highway speed, it is just the engine working via clutch directly to the front wheels. That's how it works. Okay, EV mode. Oh, engine comes on. But it's a very seamless, transition. Engine comes on, I barely even notice it. And the way it actually assists isn't like what you expect. The engine comes on, but it's not corresponding to revs, because it is just going there. It is coming back on to give more juice to the batteries, which gives juice to the traction motor, which powers the wheels. So it's not corresponding to your throttle input. So it is actually decently fast. There you go. Oh, it has pedal shifters, but the pedal shifters don't work like you'd expect because this doesn't have a conventional gearbox, or at least like you just heard over there, it does have steps. When you do, shift down or like pull the pedal on the left side, it actually increases the regen braking. You can only downshift twice, and that will increase the regen braking. And even then, so regen braking isn't that much. Okay, and then the right pedal, it still says plus over here. When you pull that, it is to undo the regen braking. Put my foot down, I go. It's very smooth. I have a sensation that there's an engine vaguely, and the more I push the pedal, the more I go forward, faster, faster, faster. The brakes are really easy to modulate. The steering is very light. Yeah, so if you want to think of this as a city that has more response and power off the line, yes, this is exactly what it is. It is not a performance hybrid, not like one of those, like PHEVs that has a big, fat e-motor at the back and gives you 400 PS like a Volvo or whatever. No, this is geared for fuel economy. I've had this car for a week so far. This is like the 7th day. And I've done literally 390 kilometers so far in the 7 days. And I've only used like a quarter of the tank. 400 kilometers just about, quarter of the tank. So in theory, I could go 1,200 kilometers on this tank. This is so impressive in terms of fuel economy. And this has all been city driving, but with hybrids, it loves city driving. For if you want to eke out the most, fuel economy for a combustion engine, petrol, diesel, you want to be on a highway all the time because that's where it's most efficient. This is most efficient in the city. So 109 PS. When the City RS came out, you're gonna charge 106,000 ringgit for a car that only has 109 PS, 109 horsepower? What? The normal City has 121 PS or 122 PS. Am I paying 30,000 ringgit more than the 1.5S, the base City, to get less horsepower? Let me just tell you something about power and torque. Imagine you're a runner and you have, you assume the position, to run a sprint, right? So you're on your marks on the ground, you get set, you go. That shove that you push with your right leg or whatever it is, that's the torque. But that doesn't factor into power yet. Okay? When it comes to power, imagine you're sprinting at full, like you're giving it your all. You're sprinting like your life depended on it. Okay? You're going all out, sprinting. And someone is sort of coming to you, like someone is right on your tail, okay? Right there. And you want to eke out more. You want to sprint harder, but you have nothing left. That's power. All right, let's try and sum up, okay? I think this is a car that can confuse you. You kind of appreciate it for its, more hidden characteristics, because am I wanting for performance? No. In fact, I think around town, this is point to point, a very, very fast, quite a fun car to drive, actually. Am I wanting for luxury? No, it doesn't have leather seats, but I don't mind this fabric, sort of Alcantara, seats. It's well insulated. I have CarPlay. It's really quiet, really refined. I've got plenty of space in the boot. I've got like D segment. I got D segment SUV space, at least leg room in the back seats. I've got a very fuel efficient car that can take me, in theory, 1,200 kilometers on a tank. And I've got a hybrid for 106,000 ringgit. If you add all those up together, it's hard to actually fault the City RS as a value proposition. You can nitpick and say, I was 106,000 ringgit for a B7 SUV, a B7 sedan. Yeah, fine. But when you add the things that it actually does provide you, it's really a impressive package, and you have a full suite of safety, systems. So you have on the sensing, the full suite. You have lane keep assist. You have blind spot monitoring. You have AEB, although I think Honda calls it collision mitigation braking. Guys, it's AEB, autonomous emergency braking. Just call it that, okay? Whatever. AEB has that. It's even got adaptive cruise control. A lot of luxury models in Malaysia, you can look it up too. Look at Mercedes-Benz, look at BMW, look at Audi, look at Lexus. How many of them offer dynamic cruise control, adaptive cruise control? You know what the ones where you press a button and it follows the car in front of you on a highway. It brakes, you brake. It speeds up, you speed up. All you gotta do is just keep your hand on the wheel. How many cars have that? At what entry price do you have to pay, besides this car, to get that? Pretty high, I imagine. But you get that here. Again, another point for its value proposition. That's the thing. If you add all this stuff up, it becomes a very compelling case. You just have to get over the fact that it's a city and get over your preconceived notions. Maybe for your 106,000 ringgit, you want something more prestigious. But that's a you problem. In terms of the city, it is giving you the best car that Honda can give you for 106K. That is pretty impressive.